Hello friends, welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I was trying to record a video for the longest time in my life. Unfortunately, I am a very busy person at the moment, at work and at home too, and I didn't really had time to record a video. Not only that, I haven't flown or made a single flight in this sim probably since the last 3-4 weeks now. I am that busy. Not enough time, and recording a video and publishing it takes about 3 to 4 hours, and I didn't have such time to take on something like this. I know a lot has changed in the sim. Things are moving forward. World Update 15 was released. There are some aircraft launches as well. And we are going to take a look at one of them. I made the purchase back in December of 2022 when TFDI Design announced their MD-11. I know there are other aircraft coming to the sim, but at this point I think I have enough aircraft and I'm not looking for getting more until I see how these aircraft will transfer to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Because next year we are going to look forward to receive that new sim platform, and I don't want to spend any money on any other aircraft if I will be heavily using the new sim platform than the 2020, and not knowing how these aircraft will transfer is making it a little bit hard to justify the expense. Anyway, enough talking here, I guess. What we are going to do today is we are going to take a look at this aircraft. I will share my 2 cents, but keep in mind this is an early access release. This aircraft is not finalized and finished for public release. I am getting it because I did the pre-purchase and got the, what was it called? Editor's collection, something collection, I can't remember. Collector's edition. Okay, I don't know what I was thinking. Yes, collector's edition. That's how I was able to receive an early access release, which is, in my opinion, in alpha state, maybe not even beta. Yes, it has some bugs. I tried to spend some time to get comfortable enough to able to record a video to share with you guys, but bear in mind this aircraft is not in its final state, and I'm pretty sure when it's released for public it's going to be much better than this. We'll talk about what's missing currently, and we'll try to power the aircraft and enter a flight plan. I don't think I will do a takeoff, landing, or any of that in this video because I'd like to keep this short, and as I said at the beginning, I don't have enough time, but just wanted to share this with you guys. Anyway, let's jump into the cockpit. We are currently at Frankfurt cargo terminal, and our destination airport will be Copenhagen in Denmark. Let's go in and take a look at the external model first, and then we will eventually jump into the cockpit, take a look around, see the textures, whatnot, and then power on the aircraft. Let's start at the front. I reduced the drone speed, so it should go slowly. Take a look at the external model, move around the wings to the back, and come back around to the front from the right side of the aircraft. As we get closer, you'll notice the pressurization effects on the airframe, these bumps. due to pressurization, depressurization over the years is a little bit overdone, in my opinion. So it's too much. I hope that will be fixed. By the way, this is a livery I downloaded from flightsim.to, so this is not an official TFDI design livery, so if there are any imperfections, some of them might be related to the livery I'm using as well. Going down, the P2 tubes are looking nice. I think the modeling job is good. There is some problems with the front gear doors. So at the moment they are not open and the gear is sticking through them. This will be fixed. I think the overall modeling of the landing gear or nose wheel gear and its connections is looking good. The tires are a little bit too shiny in my opinion. They look too, I don't know, glossy. The GPU connection, there is no connection port, it just sticks into the airframe. And as you are hearing in the background, there are some sounds coming and going. I think there was an aircraft around us. Other than that, the RAM air slots or openings are looking okay, but I'm not sure if they are identical to the real aircraft. The static ports over here and the angle of attack sensor was, I think, there. This red circle, that's the angle of attack, or AOA for short sensor. These are the static ports over here. Forgive my drone flying skills. This is the cargo door, and let's just do what we said we will do and go towards the left side of the aircraft first. That's the other angle of attack sensor. Window rivets and everything else, a little bit low quality, low resolution, but that might be delivery as well. There are no metal frames on the windows. I'm not sure if they will be added, but I think the real-life MD-11 do have metal frames. More static ports on this side, the leading edge of the wing. Looks okay. I'm pretty sure there will be some more improvements to the external 3D model and the texturing. The lights are currently looking like this. There is no lights modeled in the housing. The engine also is missing some modeling. This one, as you see, the blades are not looking or not seen. There's some black textures there. I think it's a texture issue. Main landing gear, again, the modeling is great in my opinion, and you don't look at your landing gear when you are flying in the sim. So this is, in my opinion, good enough for simulation purposes. But again, the tires are too glossy in my opinion. That texturing needs to change, maybe add some dirt and grime and whatnot, but yeah. The landing gear bay, let's take a look. Looks okay. I think at least this part is working compared to the nose gear. There is some texturing or elevation issues here that tires look like they have sunk into the concrete. But I have been to other airports with this aircraft. It's not the case in different places. So this might be specific to Frankfurt airport. Flaps and ailerons over here. Again, we'll take another look when we have a new version. But overall, I think the body is nice. It requires or needs some tweaks. As you see, there is no visibility of the third engine and the fan blades. Over here, let's see if we can spot the APU exhaust door. That should be that black spot right there, so it's not quite there yet, or missing a texture, whatever it is. The elevators. Overall, I think the back of the engine is textured pretty nicely. It just requires some tweaks. Horizontal stabilizer and the wigs. I think these are. I'm not sure if these are antennas. Do let me know if you know what these are. And overall, engine cowling modeling is looking good in my opinion. And yeah, so the tail looks nice. Over on this side, there's another door. Passenger version. This door does open. And the right wing, same story here. Requires some more attention. And again, there is no light in the housing. It's just the housing. Leading edge of the wing, same story as the left side. And then right engine is also missing some textures or texture work, whatever. But overall, I think the engine cowl is looking nice. We have seen this part, so that's the external model. I'm pretty sure this will improve, get better, and believe me, and keep in mind, this aircraft is not optimized whatsoever in terms of performance and the FPS and whatnot, but currently my 3070 Ti at 2K settings, I think most of is ultra, getting 41 FPS here at Frankfurt. I don't have any AI traffic around. I haven't started FSLTL. That could have an impact on performance. We can try and launch FSLTL and see what happens. And let's see here if the FPS will get a hit. So that's the external model. Let's jump into the cockpit, and cockpit has a better story to tell in terms of texturing and how it looks, and we'll talk about that here in a second. All right, here we are in the cockpit of MD-11. So let's take a look around. This texturing job is looking more complete and nicer than the external model, exterior model. All the panels do look nice. The text is clear, easy to read. Screens, I think they do have baked-in reflections. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of these kind of reflections. I would rather prefer the real-time reflections in the sim, but maybe that will change, maybe it will not. As you see, it's not a brand new aircraft cockpit. It shows that this aircraft has seen things and been to places. But overall, I think the modeling looks nice. Main control panel, again, the knobs, buttons, text, all looking nice. Landing gear handle, the standby altimeter, and artificial horizon. Pedestal is also looking nice. The third FMC is not simulated yet. And there are some other issues that I experienced when I was playing with it. Can't remember all of those, but yeah. The modeling, at least, looks nice. The seats, the texturing, again, good. The seat textures can use some more resolution. There is the engineer seat that I believe used back in the day, but not being used anymore. Even this part, there's a radio panel here. Nothing is operable. The circuit breakers, I'm not sure if they are planning to simulate this, but right now you cannot manipulate the circuit breakers. Cockpit door is also nicely modeled. It doesn't open at the moment though. It hopefully will in the final version of this aircraft. The storage, where the captain and co-pilot stores their bags, other stuff. It's also modeled and looking nice. All the ground textures are looking nice. Back of the seats. I think this is the PA microphone and speaker. The oxygen test is not simulated at the moment, but everything is nicely modeled. The text is looking crisp and clear and can be read easily. Overhead, same story there. I think it's nicely done. Again, the circuit breakers are not simulated yet, but overall, the overhead panel looks nice. And if we get closer, you'll see the buttons. This is the closest I can get from this distance, but we can go and get closer. These buttons are looking nice. The modeling looks nice. I'm not sure if these are baked in reflections on these switches. We'll see about that when the final version comes out, but the screws and everything else, I think this is a good modeling job here. So 3D model of the interior, the cockpit, the flight deck looks really nice. Same on the co-pilot side, the control column is nicely textured and has some wear and tear, actually a lot of wear and tear that shows the age of this aircraft. So back to the captain's seat. We'll turn around and go to the back to take a look at the cargo bay and the modeling job that they have done over there. Again, this part, the texture of the curtain looks nice. There is the passage to the back. This is the door. The texturing job over here at this seating area is also looking really nice. There are some black textures here, so those are, I believe, missing textures. Same story goes for the back of the door. But these will be fixed, I'm pretty sure. They are aware. That's the lavatory. I'm not sure if the inside is modeled. No, but looks like there's a hole that you can see the ground from here, and there are also some black textures here that requires some texturing done as well. Maybe the final version will have it. And let's go back to the cargo compartment. This looks really nice. All the cargo area, the ground, the equipment, the hooks, the rollers, the wheels. This is really looking nice. The AC duct, the lights. It really looks nice. They did a really good job modeling the cargo area. And you don't go back here when you are flying in the sim a whole lot. So the quality of texturing here, I think I can appreciate that. It looks really nice. And I'm pretty sure there will be some updates and improvements. But overall, I'm very impressed with the texturing and modeling job done in the cargo bay. Even the cargo netting here is modeled. So yeah, really nice job here. And overall, I think it's a good start for an alpha release. You will hear people on YouTube recording videos of MD-11 and saying this is a beta release, but the downloaded installation file or executable was named MD-11 alpha something something. So I'm assuming this is somewhere between an alpha and beta state. But overall, it's a good start in my opinion. So anyway, let's hop into the cockpit and let's take a look at Kolgandak startup. Here we are, again back into the cockpit. Before we start the aircraft and power it on, we'll take a look at the EFB. This aircraft comes with an EFB. It is I believe it is the early stages of its implementation. We have a couple pages, but I have seen videos since this aircraft was announced, recorded by Captain Mac. Go check him on YouTube. That showed the buttons of the EFB or the tabs on the left side in a vertical alignment or vertical order instead of the horizontal order we see here. I am not sure which version he was using. Maybe he has some partnership with TFDI design and he is receiving some other development versions to showcase. Could be it, but this will improve. So currently we have a payload page where we can set the payload either by using passenger and cargo weights or the zero fuel weight. Right now there is known bugs about this weights and balances. The FMC doesn't read it right, and you get a warning saying payload is above max zero fuel weight or something like that, but it's a known issue and I know they will be fixing it. We have the performance tab here. There is no page, but this is probably going to be the performance calculation and whatnot. We have the Navigraph charts. I haven't signed into that yet. We have the services where you can open the doors, connect the GPU, ASU, wheel chocks. You can set the wheel chocks, and you can add a nose weight. This being the cargo variant. Actually, this is coming from real life experience. If you are loading cargo to the back and the front of the aircraft is empty, this has a potential to tip the aircraft over, so you counter that by adding nose weight. So that's made available in the TFDI design MD-11. The maintenance page, nothing here, but this will eventually be a page as stated here. The current state of the aircraft, where you want to do ready to start, ready to fly, load the last save, which I think will be state saving in the final release. That's what I think this means. And the cold and dark, which we are already in. And some options over here. Weight units can switch between metric and imperial. Metric has some issues, which I will share here in a little bit. Temperature units can go between Fahrenheit and Celsius. Extended range, you can enable and disable the extended range package. It's disabled at the moment. And the SimBrief username, even if I type it in and save, it doesn't stay saved, and I don't think there is any SimBrief integration at this point in time. Systems, the automatic NTIs, digital standby is this side. This makes the instruments digital. It shows enabled, but it is not. So if we go back and enable it, this is one of the bugs. It will switch to a digital standby instrument or altimeter here. So we'll keep it disabled. Fuel dipstick, I have to do some research on this. I'm not sure what fuel dipstick is in MD-11. I am pretty sure it has something to do with sensing the fuel in the tanks, but I have to learn more about that before I can say anything in a video that I'm publishing. Same with RCWS. I think this is like weight sensing system. If I'm correct, it senses the loaded aircraft weight and carries it over to the FMC. Tape displays. This is the engine instruments are displayed in a tape gauge or a round gauge, which is the classic version, which I like to keep it. High deceleration rate, ABS, I'm not sure what this is. I have to do some research on this. Single Q flight director, you can enable that if you want. Inhibit tire failure, you can enable this, and there will be some failures, I guess, in this aircraft. Wind vector type, radio altitude, shower height, and oh, this is the weight system. This is something different. I don't know what that stands for. Well, WBS, this is the weight sensing system. This will sense the weights of the aircraft. All right, so while we are here, let's set our payload according to our flight plan, and I'll show you what I meant by metric units has some issues. I prepared a flight plan using SimBrief, the default MD-11 profile. I'm not sure how closely it matches the TFDI design MD-11, but we will use that number, the number generated by that airframe. Our block wheel is 19,994, so we can just say 20,000 kilograms, which is already plugged in there. And our cargo load is showing 72,050 kilograms, and then 18 passengers. That adds our payload up to 73.5 tons, metric tons. So we will put 73,000, fill zero Dale, and select set payload. When you do this in pounds, you don't get this many decimal numbers, but in kilograms, I'm not sure if that's conversion from pounds to kilograms is causing this. You get this weird decimal places, which I don't understand what they are. And then the zero fuel weight is showing 304, so 300, a little over 300,000 kilograms or 300 metric tons. I haven't looked at the specs of this airframe. I'm not sure what's the max zero fuel weight of MD-11, but I can take a look and ask Google. So maximum takeoff weight of MD-11 is 286,000 kilograms. So we are way over our zero fuel weight, and the load is showing 45%. So there is some bug here that is known, and they are going to correct it. So we'll go with the figures SimBrief gave us, because yeah, this doesn't make sense. And see the payload, I have entered 78,000 and it almost doubled it. So if we go back and 73,000, if we go back and maybe, yeah, I'm not gonna change it. I'll just keep the payload like this, but don't worry about these numbers. And I'm not sure if this zero fuel weight CG and current CG calculations are accurate, but we will just use them anyway. Okay, so that's the tablet or the EFB. We will continue with the pre-flight, power the aircraft, and then program the FMC and maybe start the engine so that you see that part too, and then stop there because it's already been long. So overhead panel, we will talk about each panel as we go through our flows. We will start with turning the battery on, which is over here under this guarded switch. Unguarded, turn it on, and some systems will come to life. And as you are hearing, there are some pauses, or the audio is not quite continuous, if that's the word for it. And I think this is also another bug that needs fixed by the team at TFDI Design. But we have DC power, we have external power available, so we'll turn that on as well. And while we are here, we will turn the nav lights, which is over here, and we will arm the emergency lights. I have zero experience with MD-11 in any of the simulators. I never owned an MD-11, so the things that I'm doing could be out of the standard procedure or operational procedures of this aircraft. So know that when you are watching this video, I am not following an exact real-life procedure to power up the aircraft. I am just sharing what I think about this early access release and maybe trying to address some of the bugs that I encountered when I was testing this aircraft. Which I noticed something. I'm gonna check that before we move further. I'm not sure if the standby compass is in the right orientation. Oh, yeah, it is. You can drop it down. Okay, nice. So we have power. We can get some lights going. And we will start here, top to bottom, and then left to right to do our panel scan. Cargo fire test, you can do a manual test if you like, but courtesy of MD-11, when you put the IRS switches to nav, it will automatically do a cargo fire test. So we'll see that here in a second. We'll turn the flows on. I'm just going by what I have learned in this short time, so I'm not sure if this is the standard procedure, but that's what I have seen in the videos that I have watched, so we will do that. Nav, IRS, and you are hearing the cargo fire test. Nav 1, IRS 1, IRS 2, and auxiliary IRS to nav. And we will stop here momentarily to go down to the FMC to initialize our position. FMC1 model MD-11F engines, and as you see, TFDI design MD-11 version 0U11B0-alpha. So this is what makes me think this is an early release between an alpha and beta state. Nav database is super old, or at least old. September was the last day, so it's not accurate, and I don't think Navigraph has done anything to update the nav database of MD-11 yet. So we will leave it at that. We'll go flight plan initialization and plug in our departure and destination. Echo Delta Delta Foxtrot / Echo Kilo Charlie Hotel. And this is all we need for now, and we will press initialize IRS and the IRS will start aligning. The FMC is a rather different than Boeing or Airbus. It looks like Boeing and a mix of Boeing and Airbus. Maybe if the earlier versions of Boeing and Airbus had a child, this is how it would look like, maybe. But if we go to the ref page, and if we go to the position reference, we will see how much it's going to take for IRS to align. So it says 9 minutes here, so that's how you can figure out how long it will take, because there is nothing on the display showing the alignment time of the IRS. Anyway, so initialization part is done. We will come back to this for the weights and balances and whatnot, but let's just continue with our panel flow. Cockpit voice recorder, nothing to do here, and plus nothing is operable. Same for the galley buses. Well, you can press, but I'm not sure if they are set to do anything yet. And it says for our ground use only, but well, there are no click spots. I am clicking and nothing is happening. Cargo temperatures, we will keep them as where they are. Paydeck mode, engine 1, 2, 3. These guarded switches do open, but I'm not sure if anything is simulated here yet. Engine ignition selection panel, we'll leave it at the current state for the time being. Up here, the fire test or fire discharge or fire levers, engine fire levers. Top is the hydraulic panel. They are all showing fault right now because we don't have anything running. And there is this mode switch over here. If I go a little bit closer, you'll get to see it a little bit better. It says select manual, and there's a bug here that you need to cycle this switch to put it into the auto mode. It should come in the auto mode by default, but at the moment I think there's a bug here. There is the hydraulic pressure test under a guarded switch, which kind of works. If we go and select the hydraulic synaptics page, you'll see the hydraulic pressure test is displayed, but I'm not sure if you are expected to get a result after this test is complete or any type of warning. So that's still not certain on my end, but that works or functions. Also, the auxiliary pumps do work. If we go turn the auxiliary pumps on, you'll see the system pressurized, and I think when you turn the should we go into the manual mode and turn this on? These will also pressurize the other systems. So the hydraulic system is simulated to some extent at this point. I'm not sure if there is more work that needs done here, but that's its current state. All right, we'll go back to the auto mode. Electrical, we'll come back to here. We have external power. We will arm the emergency power. The only thing we will have to do here at this point. I haven't played with the rest of these buttons and tried to find my way around, so that will come when this aircraft is more complete and getting close to release. Bleed air and packs, we are not going to touch it here. Our APU is not running. Fuel panel, fuel pumps, fuel quantities. So we have 6650, which should add up to our 20,000 kilograms of fuel. And then the transfer auxiliary tanks, this tail tank, we don't have any fuel in there. You can do a quantity test. I'm not sure if this is working. Do we have a synaptics page for fuel? Electrical fuel, yes. So let's press this test button and try to see if it does anything. We are kind of testing this together in this video, but that doesn't seem to do anything yet. Emergency lights test, I believe, is this. And I'm not sure if we will be able to see anything. We can turn on the passenger seatbelt signs and no smoking signs. And we will continue. There is nothing else we are going to do here just yet. Thunderstorm. This is like a dome light that turns on. Over here we have the APU and engine fire test. You will hear it when I press, and I'm gonna hold the button until it goes to engine 3 for you guys to see.
Engine 1 fire. Engine 2 fire. Engine 3 fire. Engine 1 fire.
So, I'm not sure if it needs to say anything about the APU when this test is running. As I said, I don't have any experience with MD-11, but you heard the test. And there's the APU start switch, which we will come back. We have the ground position proximity warning system here. We can put it to test after unguarding the switch, I believe, but it is okay. And I have to use my scroll wheel to manipulate some of these switches, so I'm not sure, but we will leave it alone. This part, I have to do some research on this to be able to speak about this. This is the Addon and the LSAS system. Again, Captain Mac has a really detailed explanation of this, if you are interested to hear that, and I have to watch that video to be able to speak about this, but this is some sort of lateral stability system that's unique to MD-11. Cabin pressure or pressurization panel. This is that, anti-ice, and then cargo door test. I'm not sure if this is working, the button is working, but I'm not sure if we are getting any test message from the doors page, if we have the doors page, or the status. That's the status. Miscellaneous, door open. I'm not sure if we have a specific page for any of these, but well, at least the button displays test. Maybe there will be something simulated in the near future when the aircraft gets more updates. We have the lights test, but as far as the videos I have seen goes, in the MD-11, this test also triggers some other tests that are not simulated in the TFDI design MD-11 yet. It only does the lights test in all over the cockpit, so that's, at least we know that works. And then fuel year used reset switch here, engine max pointer reset switch here. Okay, I think that engine max pointer is this guy here, where the gauge climbs could be it. I'm not completely or 100% sure, but that's the overhead scan done. The MCP main control panel, we will come back to this after we program our flight, and we'll take a look at the pedestal after we deal with the FMC. Alright, back to the FMC now. Our alternate airport is Echo Kilo Sierra Papa. We will plug it in there. Our flight number is Deutsche Lufthansa 1453. Our cruise level, I believe, was flight level 370. Yes. So 370, you don't put the FL in front of it. This aircraft also can do step climbs. I'm not sure if it's implemented yet, so we will stick with the cruise level. And maybe we can test this later on a flight video. Temperature and wind, this is an interesting entry. This is the temperature at top of climb, which can be found on the operational flight plan. For us, it's minus 56 degrees Celsius. And the wind component, you enter the tailwind component of the current winds at your, or average winds on your flight plan. So average winds on our flight plan is, winds are coming from 2907 at 048 knots. So the way we enter this, we have to calculate the tailwind component of 48 knots. I'm not gonna do that calculation, but we will enter TL, and let's say if the calculation result was 18 knots, we will put TL 18 here, and it will accept it. If you put like just 18, it will also accept that too, and it will put the TL in front of that. And I think this part is used for tailwind component only, as such. Optional max flight level, I don't know what this does. I have to learn about it. Cost index is 168. That's kind of high cost index, but that's what it is. Next page of the init is for weights and balances. And as you see, these numbers that are sensed by the aircraft are not quite accurate. This is bugged, and it will be fixed according to the Discord message I saw on TFDI Design Discord. This will be fixed shortly. So our block field is sensed correctly, and UFOB is usable fuel on board, so that's what that stands for. We can either plug in 20.0 or press the line select key to copy the information over. Takeoff gross weight, again, the tablet or the EFB shows way too much, so that's not accurate. We will go with what SimBrief thinks our takeoff gross weight, or we can just do the zero fuel weight, and the takeoff gross weight should be calculated from that, but we will just go with the takeoff gross weight. Our estimated takeoff weight is 211,487, so we will call it 211,500. So 211.5 metric tons is our takeoff weight, and it accepts it. If I will go with this number, it will say out of range, so we will leave it alone. Takeoff CG and zero fuel weight CG. Again, I have two CG numbers here. Zero fuel weight is 28.3. Current CG, I think this would be the takeoff one, 21.5. So we'll plug in 28.3 to zero fuel weight and 21.5 to the current CG or takeoff CG. So you can also put the reserves according to our plan. We have 3 metric tons of reserve fuel. So we'll put it here. You can also plug in the fuel you need to fly to your alternate airport, and you can get very detailed here. You can add some extra time, final time, etc, etc. Third page of the init page does the fuel init. You can I have to remember there was some stuff done here, and the fuel dipstick, I'm not quite knowledgeable about that, so I'm not going to speak about any of this. Anyway, so that's the initialization done. We'll go to the flight plan, we will start entering our waypoints, and we'll talk about the issues I have faced when I was doing it before starting to record the video to test it. So go with the departure airport. This very much looks like an Airbus setup. We'll select our SID. We are departing from runway 18 via the I need to scroll down a little bit more. Frankfurt has a lot of SIDs. Maru 6 Foxtrot. I think that's what we are going to use. This plan I have gives Maru 6 Tango, but this is an old nav database, so this could have been changed. And no transition, and we will insert this. So as you see, the waypoints are listed until Maroon, which is the last waypoint of our SID, and from there we see discontinuity. We will select the last waypoint. I don't remember which aircraft was it, but had this kind of setup where you select the last waypoint to enter the airways. We are taking Yankee 150 after Maroon, which will take us to Talgi. We will insert this because our next waypoint is a direct. So after Talgi shows our destination. I don't know if it's gonna work. There are two ways of entering waypoints, I guess. After Talgi we are going to Elkim, Echo Lima Kilo India Mike. We either probably plug this in here and we have a discontinuity. We will take care of that when we are done. And it enters the waypoint. Or the second way of doing it is going to Elkim, and there is this next waypoint button where we can click and enter our next waypoint. Our next waypoint after Elkim is Makel, Mike Alpha Kilo Echo Lima. We'll plug this in here, and it will enter it to the FMC or our route. I think line select is easier, so we will use that, but we have an airway, so let's go there. When I first tried, I wasn't able to get us use this airway, November 851. It reads the airway, it doesn't read the waypoint or intersection. The intersection is Jeska, whatever it is, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. Golf Echo Sierra. I didn't press well, I guess. And then the clear button has a bug. If you are too quick to enter, it will clear it again. So Jeska, and it's gonna say not in database. However, if I return to the waypoints, and instead of an airway, if I enter the next waypoint, and again, as you see, the G, either it's the key or me doing something wrong, but let's just plug this in here, and boom, it enters. So I'm not sure which one or where the problem is. From Geska, we are taking Zulu 711, and that is the other one that I had problems with. Zulu 711, and couldn't find the intersection if it was entered like this, which is Monac. And as you will see here, not in database. Return and type in Monac. Well, if I can type, there is some lag in how the pages are loading, and if you are too quick, then you run into that problem of missing that first letter. It's the top one, that's 326 nautical miles away, and boom, it's there, so it works. But through an airway, it cannot enter the waypoint. So from here, our star is going to be We are going to select our star after Monarch. We are taking Mona 3 Charlie. Not sure if that's the star in this version of the nav database. We'll see. And we are going to approach runway 22 right, and we will do an ILS to runway 22 right. So we'll select 22 right, Mona 2 Charlie. I don't think there is Mona 3 Charlie. So we will select 2 Charlie, no transition. And this minimum profile, would it be the profile altitude? I have to test it in a full flight. I haven't finished a flight with this aircraft yet. But if I go and check the approach plate, the minimum altitude for the glide slope is 3000. Maybe we can enter that in here just to see if it's gonna accept it. It does, and then we can insert this and see how it looks like when we go down there. We will clean these discontinuities. Do we see that 3000 somewhere is my question. No, actually I'm not seeing the approach waypoints. The CI, yeah, it's showing vectors to final, which is true. Interesting. Anyway, let's go clear this discontinuity. And then the next discontinuity is due to a vector, and the FMC is not gonna let us clear it, because you have to get instructions from ATC to fly the vectors to final. Yeah, we can select the star again, and let's see. Mona 2 Charlie 22 left. Yeah, that's looking accurate. And then the discontinuity that we cleared comes back for some reason. But let's clear that one more time. This we cannot. If we try to, it will say not allowed. So the flight plan part is done. We can test the or review the route by going into the plan mode. I like that it's a button then a rotary switch, and we can cycle through the waypoints to take a look at our routing. The flight path is drawn nicely. I like that curves instead of sharp angles. That's the top of descent, I believe. And then Geska, Monarch, CDA, that's our arrival. And then it fails to display the other waypoints of the star for some reason, but we will leave it at that. Okay. We'll take a detailed look when we are doing the flight. We're not today though. All right, so we will start the APU and then program our MCP and set the aircraft ready for engine start. So we should go back to, how do I go back to the, is it the MD? And what happened to that display? Engine? Oh, yeah, okay. It should be, I think this is the correct page. Anyway, APU start. It's right here. We have done the test, so we will just click the button and the APU will start spooling. It's only displayed over here, the N1, EGT, N2 oil pressure. There is no other APU parameters shown on our flight displays. So the available light will flash until it's ready, and then it will become steady when APU is spooled up and when it's generating power. We can press, and that should enable the APU power. We can go and disconnect the ground power unit, and the aircraft should stay on the APU power. Again, sometimes these systems do require resetting the system or cycling the system's button to make them work. Like the bleed air, we are not getting anything right now, but if I go, boom, the APU bleed becomes on. So the automatic mode doesn't kick in automatically. That's ironic. All right, so the APU is on. Let's set our MCP. We will use the traffic information from the MIOR1, MIOR2 on our navigation display. Pressure, current pressure at Frankfurt is 1008. We can switch between inches and hectopascals like this. So 1008, we will set that. And then the next thing is and TCAS. Is it working? I'm not sure. The indicated airspeed, we haven't calculated our speeds yet, so let's do that first. I completely forgot about it. So we go to the takeoff approach page, and this is how you enter the information to calculate your V speeds. Eventually there will be a performance calculator that we can use for the flex temperature, but we will plug in 45 degrees. There, packs off flaps, we can, I think the standard flap setting for MD-11 is 15 degrees. I have seen people using 10 degrees too, but I'm gonna plug in 15 degrees of flaps. Runway slope, I'm not sure, I'm going to look up that information. We are going to accept 0 slope. And then the temperature or the winds at our departure airport is 0.1, so I'm not expecting to see any tailwind component or crosswind, so we will enter that. Outside air temperature is displayed here, so that's 4 degrees Celsius. And for this one, you have to actually say for C for Celsius or for F for Fahrenheit for the FMC to recognize. Climb thrust, acceleration, altitude, etc., etc. We are going to leave all of that default. And we get a message saying check and confirm the V speeds. To do that, you have to press the line select keys. And our V2 is 166. And we can now go and verify our V speeds here, 166, 151, 131, and set our indicated airspeed to V2 plus 5, which is 171. Again, I'm not following standard procedure. If MD-11 is operated differently, I have no way of knowing. Runway heading is 176. We will set the runway QDM to the heading bar to have it ready in case something happens to our navigation systems. We can switch to the heading mode and still fly the aircraft in the runway heading. Initial altitude will be 9,000. We have a 9,000 restriction. I forgot to check if it's displayed on the flight plan. No, it's not. But on our departure, let's test it out too. At Viotek's waypoint, where is Viotek's? Oh, that waypoint is not part of this star. The nav database does not have it. Okay, so we have a 9,000 restriction, so I'm gonna put that restriction to this. Let me see. I'm gonna put 9,000 to this waypoint just to test it out. So that's the speed, and as you see, the speed increases above. But my test flight, when I took off the aircraft, the auto throttle went above 250, below 10,000. So we will test that again in a future video. But we will just plug in /090 to Lixie, which is this, and these are not aligning well with the line select keys. And then the speed will maintain 245 until we are about 10,000. So that's good that it's possible to enter our own restrictions here. And 9,000 is displayed. So if we go above 9,000 to our cruising altitude, the aircraft should level at 9,000 and continue flying after clearing that restriction on the profile mode, which is the VNAV for MD-11. So 37,000 is set. We will arm the now armed. We will arm the profile armed, and that's all we need to do. The lights, they are coming on by default. They should be off by default, I believe, but I might be wrong. And the airport button here does not have a click spot where the Copilot side can show the airports around the vicinity. Okay, so that's pretty much the MCP done. We don't have anything here. As I said, we can't test the oxygen. There are no other tests. Down below, we can set the anti-skid. I'm not following a checklist, so I'm just setting it up. Accidentally moved the speed brake lever. Let's roll it back. And the standby altimeter is not set, so we will set that to 1008. So, and we will leave it at that. So now the anti-skid message should disappear. Engine, this is displayed because we haven't selected any engine starter. Down below, we are not gonna set any radios for today's flight. This is not working yet or not simulated. Weather radar, we have to test this. I'm not sure if it's working or not. Transponder is good as is. And yeah, we will leave the radios alone. These are the trims. We are not gonna touch the trims. Cockpit door, this button is not working. It's not simulated yet. But what we can do, I did it again. We can set our step trim. As you see, step trim is showing 7.2, but our calculated step trim is 6.8. So we have to bring it down to 6.8. So our step trim is now set, and we are at this point pretty much ready to start our engines. Alright, so let's continue with that and finish the video there. To start the engines, we'll go overhead panel. No need to turn on the pumps or whatsoever. We can turn off these auxiliary pumps. I should have turned them off way before. But what we will do is we will select S ignition system A or B. I am not sure, this is automatic. We'll put the beacon light on. And we'll go outside to see if the beacon light can be seen. We have to close our doors and remove these stairs. I will do that before we start the engines. We will close the cargo and the passenger door and call GSX to remove the stairs. I'm not gonna request pushback. They're going to go away. Yes, they are. Okay. We are not going to push back from the stand, so we will leave the stand, or the aircraft will start the engines at stand. We can remove the chocks though. We know our parking brake is set. It's this lever here, and we have selected the system to start the engine. So this is the sequence I have seen in the videos. I might be wrong, so don't judge me for it, but we will go engine 1, engine 3, and engine 2. So to start the engine, we'll pull the starter switch and the engine will start spooling. We will see the N2. When we are at 15% N2, we will introduce fuel by switching the fuel switch on. So that's 15, fuel is on, and then we are voiding our fuel flow is seen. Passing 21%, we should see the light off. EGT starts rising, and once starts rising, and we monitor the oil pressure, temperature, and temperature over on this side. I forgot to mention the gross weight, and the fuel is also displayed here on the Copilot side. AFIS display, but the engine will spool, the starter will cut off or cut out, and then we will continue with the next engine. The sounds are nice, but there are no animations. Like fan blades are static at this point, and I'm not sure if the sounds will receive some updates and improvements and I can't tell you if they are accurate or not because, as I said, zero experience with MD-11. So engine 1 is stable. We'll go ahead and start engine number 3. Look at the same thing. Fuel is off. 15% N2. We will introduce fuel. And then fuel flow is seen. We are waiting for light off. There's the light off. And then M1 rotation and oil pressure is seen. Oil temperature is rising. So good engine start. Waiting for the engine to stabilize and starter to cut off or cut out. Which one is the correct term? I'm having a hard time remembering. I think it's starter cut out. A little bit more and then engine will be up and running. And starter cut out. So engine is stabilized or stabilizing, so we can go ahead and start engine number 2, and we will do the same thing. %. We'll add the fuel. Fuel flow is seen. EGT is rising and light off. I think that middle symbol disappears when the engine lights off or when the EGT reaches a certain degree. Okay, and then we are seeing the M1 rotation. Oil pressure is seen. Oh, that's maybe the starter. So when the starter cuts out, that will probably disappear from the screen. Yes, that's what it is. That's the starter cutout indication. Okay, so all engines are stable. We can now go. I'm not gonna perform an after start checklist. We'll just go with why the galley buses are off, and I can't seem to manipulate those. So APU power is showing available, but we don't need it anymore, so we will stop the APU. And it's gonna start using the engine bleed. And I'm not sure if we need to cycle this again to make it work. No, maybe not. And if we get closer, we can read what the buttons say. Use engine air, avionics overheat, flow override. I'm not sure if anything is simulated here, so we will leave it alone. So the last thing, which I haven't done, which I should have done before starting the engines, is to set our flap setting here. So as you see, there's MD-11 and MD-82 has this too, if you remember the video that I recorded. You have a setting here to set the flap setting, and it will limit the flaps to that number as far as I know. Dial a flap that stays, and that moves with your setting, so it stays there. So our takeoff flaps was 15, so we will use this setting. We will set our flaps to 15. I think they are now set to 15. It's hard to tell, but we'll go to the co-pilot side and take a look. And the flaps are indicated on the PFD. As you see here, flaps 14 is shown. I'm not sure if that's accurate, wrong, because if I go one more notch, that's more than, yeah. Okay, it's showing 14. I thought it was 15 degrees, but I might be wrong, so we'll leave it at that. So flaps are set, and engines are running. Taxi light is on, and we are ready to leave. So right now I don't see a strobe or anything like that. I'm not sure. and I don't see the beacon light as well. But guys, early access release, this will improve, but just wanted to share my thoughts on the recently released collector's edition of TFDI design MD-11. Unfortunately, you are not able to get collector's edition anymore. It was a pre-order sale that was done in December and closed, but I think they are planning to release it early 2024, so a little bit of time to go, but this aircraft will be available for the general public early next year. Again, thanks for being here, sparing some time to watch the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you are not a channel subscriber, please take a couple seconds to hit that subscribe button to get notified for future videos. Also turn on the bell. Again, I hope I covered everything that you expected to see. If you have any other questions about this aircraft, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I will be seeing you in the next video.